peeps, good morning. Welcome back to the Wednesday edition. It's Wednesday already, of Wednesday edition of Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and Disembodied Hands Queen, hopefully not zombie, Quindy, and her possibly shambling servitors, Justin and John. How are you today, Quindy? Oh, boss talking, that's the worst. It's Wednesday, everybody panic. You liked having everybody panic yesterday, didn't you, Quindy? When they all went, ah, and ran around. You just like seeing panic in the chat. Admit it. Admit it. Quindy is the person who stamps really hard to make the cows all stampede. Funny. Funny, funny. Are you feeling better today? Did you get sleep? Did Egret let you sleep? Let's not. Panic is overrated, Shadow Raven. That's what we want to say. Panic is overrated. Ah, my eyes are watery today. Where are my glasses? So there. Good, good, good. Yay for sleep. Good deal. David and I have decided to get up a little earlier these days, so it's like blink, 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 grog, grog. But we'll see how it goes. But yes. Cool, cool. All right. Well, we're going to do NMMs. We're going to do more copper on this today, but I decided I wanted to go darker and more tarnished on the Trident to see if I liked it. I'd like to do that. So I need my russet brown, which is essentially our copper shadow. Greetings, Red Block. How's it going? Welcome. Quindy, that's fun. Alrighty. So I'm going to get up here, get in focus on our fishy. I'm good, Lady Nim. I'm good. Everybody lurking today. So yeah, so we're working on, we did some NMM copper down here. And that looks good, and I like it. But the Trident up here is just so big that I'm worried that it's going to really distract a lot. And so because of that, I'm going to take it down. I'm going to actually do a heavy wash on it of russet brown. So for those who don't know, when I created the Tarnished Copper Triad, I decided instead of putting a shadow in to put verdigris in. So we have a verdigris color, which I should grab. It's hiding over here somewhere. There it is. So the actual triad is like that. The part of the reason I did that is because at the time we didn't have any other good verdigris color, but the other reason I did it is that we already had a color that was useful for being tarnished copper shadow, and that is 9199 russet brown. When I studied tarnished pennies and pots, I realized that the shadow color really was tarnished russet brown. Like, I would have essentially had to create a color that was almost identical to one I already had. And when I was the paint line designer for Reaper, I really disliked doing that. Sometimes it happened accidentally where two colors were very, very close, but just usually because I didn't remember, oh crap, I've got another color in this other triad that I made ages ago that is close to this. But I tried, I made an effort almost always to not duplicate or close to duplicate a color. And even the colors in MSP that are like close to each other use different pigments. So technically they're going to mix differently. And they may also have different coverage. They may thin differently. So as you will. So anyway, that's why we're using russet brown as a shadow for our copper triad. Put aside our verdigris. Oh, I meant to refill my mixed water, and I did not. Well, we'll see. If I run out, I've got another bottle in the other room. You guys got snow. Fun, fun. Winter Wonderland. Yay. Aw, Kurnico. Lay down and watch. Lay down and watch. I won't hold it against you if you fall asleep, okay? That's funny. I've come to the conclusion that David just takes faster walks than me. Like, he took Kiki out for a walk this morning, and they were back really fast. And then he's like, we did a long walk this morning. I'm like, what? I'm going to put that color back. There we go. And we're going to put that color back. I have a few extra colors hanging out here that I don't really need. We get ice in Texas. Do you not get ice in Texas, Twisted Oma? Are you further south than... You're probably further south than Denton, huh? My friends around Pflugerville almost never got snow. It's kind of why I liked North Texas, to be honest, is that we still got a variance of seasons. We would get a rare snow maybe once a year or once every 2 years. And then we'd get ice sometimes, which would make the trees look pretty, but be hell to drive on. Just washing off my pokey tool here after using it on my russet brown. You will notice that some colors in MSP do clog a little bit more readily, and often that's just because the base is a slightly heavier bodied base. We do use a slightly heavier bodied base for some of our darker colors, many of our darker colors, because it does add a tiny bit of coverage without changing the pigmentation. That's funny, Cornico. So nobody wanted to get up today. It must be crappy weather where you are. All right, so let's actually do a wash. But then I have to find my sealer. Where did I put you, sealer? Aha, I found it. So we'll see if my camera manages to not freeze today like it did yesterday. At least it's been freezing toward the end of the stream. All right, so we're going to do a wash to do this, and the reason we're going to do that is it's actually how the corrosion would happen, right? Wherever water pools is where the corrosion tends to take over. So it kind of makes sense to do a wash on something like this that has a lot of detail, because it's going to pool in exactly the areas where you would see it corrode more readily. And the areas that are like getting jabbed into people or that are on the upper surface and might get, polished more often are going to stay bright. Ugh. Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, Pflugerville's in the Austin area. It's north, a little bit north, I think, of Austin. Don't remember. But yeah, rare snow then for you. So you do get colder. 50 is not like total winter for you. Alrighty, I'm going to grab some of this, about a brush full of this russet brown. I'm going to drop 4 drops of brush on sealer into it. I do want to shake the sealer really well. It does settle out. The matting agent in it will settle out. Uh-oh. No! Oh no, 1 extra drop of sealer. Oh well, that's probably going to be just fine. And then a drop or 2 of water. You don't have to be precise with your washes. I mean, your paint is going to change. So a 4 to 2 is not always going to be the answer for your washes. So it shouldn't surprise you that sometimes you have to switch it up. And in fact, russet brown is one of those colors that is very high coverage. So it is, even with all that sealer and water, it's still not a wash consistency. And that'll also happen if you have older paints that are thickened slightly over time. You may find that you need to add more water to get a proper wash. And this is going to be a very heavy wash. If we put it on like this, you can see that although it is transparent around the edges, it's definitely very heavy in the center. And that transparency is going to discolor the surface of our copper. So we do have to remember that if we decide we want to go this way. I also see a spot that I missed base coating on this trident, so I'm going to hit it real quick just with the brown because it's in a shadow area anyway. There. Yep, that's the only one I missed, I think. Good. So I don't know if any of you have ever been tempted to start a journal, but I got the coolest journal yesterday. It's the first time I'd ever heard of them, but it's a 5-year journal. And the cool idea of it is it's like 4 lines per day, and it's 365 pages, and on every page there are 5 sections. So the idea is that you start, and then you go, and when you get to the next year, you lap. And so the cool thing is that then on that day this year, the year you're on, you can see what you wrote last year and what kind of mood you were in, what you were happy about, what you were struggling with, kind of things, like stuff in your life. It's kind of a reminder of like your year to year and day to day, which is cool because I journal all the time, but I have a real hard time making time to go back and read my past journals. And when I do, it's always enlightening. It's always interesting. I always learn something, right? So this is really cool. And the fact that it's very short is attractive. You just write a couple sentences kind of about your day and whatever you want, really. I mean, it could be something as silly as a silly story about your cat, or, like, I really felt great today because blah, or I really love my blah because blah. But yeah, anyway, it seemed like a really cool idea, so I bought one. And it's hardbound because, of course, it's got to last for 5 years. So if anybody is a journaler type, it's a really cool idea. I thought I would mention it on stream. You can just Google 5-year journal or look at Amazon. I think I bought the hardbound one that was fairly highly rated. All right, let's just put this wash over the top. It's not going to... the thing here is that russet brown isn't much darker than our copper, so it's not really going to define everything immensely. It's just going to, bring out things just a little bit, and it's going to discolor the surface and give us some tarnish. Yeah, I mean, I recommend journaling to anybody who feels at all like they kind of wanted to start a journal at some point. Just because, for me, it really helps me just kind of work out. It helps remind me, the cool thing about my current journal, before I grab this 5-year one, is my current journal asks me to list something that I'm grateful to have, like gratitude, that I have gratitude for in the morning. And actually that makes a big difference in my life. I've found having to focus on things that I'm happy about instead of things that I'm like worried about or dreading doing or something like that. Even sometimes if it's monotonous, like I love my house, I'm really grateful for my house and my David and my dog and all that. That Kiki's getting older. That's one that's common lately in my journaling is, what am I thankful for? Kiki is getting adult brain cells. That's what I'm grateful for. But it's still kind of nice to just stop and just look at the positive things, especially when I'm stressed. It really makes a difference. So yeah, if you have ever thought about it. So there we've taken that down. And I think I'm going to bring in some black and brown for some of the real dark bits. This is going to... We're probably going to have to bring back in some of our... Well, we will have to bring back in copper on the higher points where we want to have where it's scraped off. I do want a bit of a darker shadow. I could use brown liner or black and brown for it. I think I'll go brown liner, actually. I'm going to mix a little bit of my russet brown into it, though, because it really is the best shadow for copper. This shadow that I'm putting on here is less about the color and the corrosion and more about just the fact that we're working in a 28mm scale, and so the model needs extra shadows to look correct, like to bring out the details. Morning, Daffodil. So I went and looked at, somebody reposted pictures of the fairy dragon from the Kickstarter. Christine did a test print and apparently sent it to Ron, so maybe it'll show up on Reaper Live maybe next week, unless the mail is really good about getting it there fast. But it looks cool. It looks good. It is a very nice fairy dragon. Oh, the other thing about the 5-year journal thing, which was kind of cool, is that some people used it. They used it kind of as a gratitude journal, but they also intended to pass it on to their kids when they passed. Like older people were using it for this, so that the kids would, have a record of how much their parents like thought about them and loved them and all that. That was a really cool idea for it too. Even if you're not a writer, it's like 2 sentences, so it's like pretty attainable, I think. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. I'm just really thrilled about it. I think it's a really cool idea. I think for me, I have a hard time remembering where I was, you know, how far I've come, I guess, in the last few years. Oh, I guess there isn't a Thanksgiving Reaper Live. Might be a while then. Well, maybe I'll show you guys on stream. It's not the same as seeing it, you know, on Reaper Live, but there you go. So it's quite large. It is life-size. It's a life-size fairy dragon, as you can see from her hand. This is the actual size a fairy dragon would be. So you can use it as a elder, like gigantic fairy dragon, a fey dragon, a forest dragon, or you can use it as your mascot to sit on your desk while you paint, which is what I wanted it for. I wanted a life-size fairy dragon because I wanted one to sit on my desk with me and be my mascot. So yeah, so now we have a life-size fairy dragon, folks. Yeah. So there you go. So that's coming out with the latest Bones Kickstarter, and she mailed the, oh, there's another angle. She mailed the test print to Ron, so it is a lovely fairy dragon. Yes. All right, so yeah, so that's darkened down our trident a bit and made it a little bit, yeah. Well, it was the final stretch goal for the for that level, Crowley. So that's why. And when honestly, I was kind of a fueling force behind this because I was asking Ron or suggesting that we do a life-size fairy dragon for a long time. Because you can. Like a bone-sized dragon is a life-size fairy dragon. So it's my fault that it's big, but there are also little ones. So like if you want ones for gaming, you can have it. But that could be like it's the fairy dragon who took a lot of potions of giant growth and figured out a way to make them permanent because she really wanted to be big and be the queen of the fairy dragons. Or maybe fairy dragons just get that big if you wait a long time. I don't know. I'm going to get this brown in and fill in some of these darker areas and accentuate some of these other details. Now, I probably should wait until my wash fully dries because I'm being a bad Ann right now. Bad Ann, no cookie. But there we are. So just putting in little shadows here and there. Any tarnished area is no longer going to be shiny. Not really shiny, just a little. If you look at a tarnished penny, it's a lot duller than a bright shiny new penny. So we're going to go through and bring in all of our shadows on this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do our highlighting. I think that, like, I'm pretty sure that the warehouse doesn't have dark corners these days. Like, back in the olden days, there was a lot more mess and clutter, lady, but these days everything's pretty well sorted and well tracked. So I don't know that, like, every once in a while Ed finds something from the dawn of time, but I think, like, I don't think he does anymore because he got accustomed to, like, before ReaperCon, doing a deep clean on the warehouse, and the first time he did it, he did find crap from God knows when. But, you know, after you do it once, you found all the stuff. So And there's really no leftover, like, like the old vampire boxes. Like anything we found like that was put up for sale ages ago. So sadly, and any really old stuff is actually in our museum, our Reaper Museum, which is the gallery, also doubles as a museum. So it's not gonna be like, I guess you could dig up stuff from the museum and put it on the tables. We wouldn't need to actually dig anything up from the dark corners of the warehouse. That's in the bright corners of the warehouse. So we're getting in here with some darker shadows. And this is just because, as I said, my wash really was to apply a layer of tarnish as much as it was to shade anything. So if I want darker areas that are in shadow, I still need to go in and put those in. Could I have done a darker wash? Yes. I wouldn't have gotten the color I wanted necessarily out of it. Alrighty, so where's our light coming from here? It's mostly on diffused upper. So probably that means that since the staff is slightly tilted, the dark side would be on this side. So I'm going to put a shadow there. Stronger shadow, I should say. So I built my Dragonborn, i.e. Drakthir, in World of Warcraft last night. And I must say, the character creation is pretty elaborate for them. I wish they'd do that for all the races. I built a yellow and black one. Actually, a bronze and black, like golden black, because I wanted to be Kiki. I wanted to name it after Kiki. So I made it Kiki colored. I got as close as I could to caramel and black. I should have taken a picture of it. It would make a pretty good figure. The biggest frustration I had was like choosing an eye color because my color scheme was muted and all the eye colors were so bright. And sometimes that can work, but it was really jarring me, so I was just like, grrr. It works better on miniatures than it does on computer games, I guess, because when something is really bright on a computer game, it actually glows. Like, it's really bright. Whereas on a miniature, when you're using regular colors, it's not obnoxiously bright, right? It's usually just bright enough. And we'll get shading in here. So really, we're only going to do NMM on the parts that are kind of scraped off and shiny. But mostly, I'm not going to worry about NMM for a lot of these other areas. Oh, bottom side of my model is still wet. Look at that. We'll put that on a card. Yep, yeah, we're definitely still a little wet, so I will not support that with my thumb again, or my pinky finger. It does make me wish we had more Dragonborn in Reaper line. The WoW ones are kind of weird because they're definitely shaped differently. Their dragon forms are shaped very differently than the normal humanoids. So what I think that means is essentially you have specific armor for your dragon form that you don't see on your human form necessarily, or maybe you do, but you don't see when you get armor for your human form, you don't see it on your dragon form. because it's just two different body types, I guess. At least that's what I understand. I could be wrong about that. It's interesting. Yes, I like that I have a tail and I can fly. Like that's pretty cool. First, like really fly. Really, part of it is a glide, but part of it is controlled. So it's interesting that they're going with a flyable race for this expansion. Let's see, where is my? There it is. Tarnished copper. Time to get my copper mixed up. But yeah, the WoW Dragonborn have big clawed paws, so they don't wear like boots or anything. And I kind of like that style of Dragonborn, the more feral style, I guess. All right. So I'm going to take tarnished copper and I'm going to mix it with some new copper right away. Because I already put it down as a base coat and then I shifted the color. But I don't want it to be, I don't need that base anymore because I'm going to be dealing with either tarnish or shine. So I'm going to right away add an equal amount of new copper. Yeah, Cornico. Right, yeah, see, and that's why I kind of like how they did the dragon folk in WoW, because I can see all my cool scale patterns. Like, I can choose, actually, to have none of my armor display if I want it. But I've got a breastplate and a belt and a loincloth. And then shoulders. Cool chain shoulders. It was hard to find a color of armor that looked good on my model, too. Because I went with such... Here's me with the muted color scheme, and WoW is all about bright color schemes, so it's like, oh... So I'm going to do this. This is actually a 4-to-1, because it's an 8-to-2 mix. And that's the color it turns out if you mix tarnished copper and new copper. It's kind of a good halfway between the two. And then when I mix my highlight, yeah, that's true. So I do, oh no, my new copper is all cloggy. Don't be cloggy. It's a little bit muted, unless you're dealing with a muted red Valendar. If you're dealing with a very muted red, you could probably make it work for something like Asmodeus. I don't know that I would do it. It's got a little bit too much brown in it, though. Like, I don't think it would, it might work. If you do a mix, it might work, but the colors themselves kind of clash to my eyes. That's just my eyes. You may think they look great. My color sense, however, says you. So just keep that in mind. Anne's color sense says you. If you mix a little bit of this into your red, though, to mute it, yes, you could do that. But there are definitely better orange pinks to do for edge. Your monitor might be changing the color, but I mean, if I was going to do an edge highlight, I would be more like that. Or this plus white, which is going to come up here. Let me show you. Because this doesn't have the brown in it, it's going to come up as a much more effective highlight for most brighter reds. This is Lotus Orange, by the way. It's just a prototype bottle of it. So. Lol on the spam, Quindy. All right, so then you've got this, you've got that. But if you put white into your Lotus Orange, Because this is really the color. Lotus Orange is really supposed to be like a replacement for like that German orange, which is a great highlight for like red hair. This is a little too much, like it's got a little bit too much brown in it, but I would use something more like this. You can see how much brighter that is, truer. So if you're doing a red brown and you mix a little bit of this into it, yeah, you probably could use it, but otherwise it looks it's kind of like a rosy shadow kind of color. It's very kind of close to rosy shadow, just darker. So yeah, I don't think it would make a good edge highlight. That's just my gut though, remember again. Anne's gut says ew, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. Because sometimes I try something and I'm like, oh, it works better than I thought, right? Speaking of which, it's time to add a little bit of yellow to that new copper and also to get a little bit more of it in here. So with the new copper, we were doing 4 drops of it. And then about half a drop of candlelight yellow to just warm it up a little. Because I like to warm it up just a little bit. And usually that means I squeeze some out and I put it on my brush and then I mix my brush in. But again, man, all my bottles are clogging today. I don't know what it is. Something in the air has clogged every single one of my bottles that I've attempted to use on stream today. It's one of those days, guys. It's one of those days. So we got our boop, like that. About half a drop. Just enough to warm it up. You know what this really looks like at this point, actually? This looks like the Bright Skin Triad. That cartoon one that I did that nobody liked because they didn't know what it was for. But it's a very orangey, it could be a very orangey skin tone. A little bit of white. So we've got a brighter hue to start with. That might have actually gone a little bit too orange, so I'll put a little bit more copper in. Well, now you can remix it, guys. Just do a 50-50 new copper and tarnished copper for your shadow, and then add take new copper and add 1 drop of candlelight yellow and or half a drop of candlelight yellow and a drop of white for bright skin, and then probably just another drop of candlelight yellow, another drop of white, like extra, to the new copper to get the highlight or close enough. So there you go. Now you know how to make your very own bright skin shadow and bright skin. Yeah, I'll take it a little bit more. Boop. And now you know the secret of the copper triad, that you can make skin tones with it. Aren't you guys all glad that you're watching my show and getting all these tips? I bet you could use one of those 5-year journals as a 5-year painting journal too. That'd be kind of fun. If you were learning. It would be a good tool for if you were learning. To say, put down things you learned or your recipes. And then when you looped around over the year, you'd see a reminder of things you learned or a recipe you found. That'd be kind of neat. Yeah, you could always just print out a pic and put it in between the pages. Yeah, that would be neat. That would be a good use for a 5-year journal, actually. Pretty awesome. Because you can come a long way in mini painting in 5 years. Hello, Miniatures Den. We are doing some copper on our fishy dude. I was just talking about how our copper and mem triad can be used to make skin tones, because I was noticing that the colors I was mixing ended up looking a lot like the now canceled bright skin triad. So the secret that you all now know is that you can use the copper and mem triad to make some pretty good skin tones. But yeah, good morning. Morning. But yeah, so that's this is what we're doing right today. We're working on our copper. I actually have to put some water into that russet brown before it coagulates completely. I should totally ask major den people because I haven't ever asked this to you guys, and I know there's really nobody on my stream who does. But is anybody on you guys over there in the Pocket people? Do any of you guys do National Novel Writing Month? Because I do, and I'm always looking. I'm always looking to say yay to other nano people. I'm going to grab, been using a mixture of brown liner with a drop of russet brown in it for shading, along with my wash that I did and the pure russet brown. And I'm just painting in shadows on the dark areas where the light wouldn't fall, because once you start doing tarnish on NMM copper, the tarnished area is not going to be nearly as shiny and reflective as the shiny area, right? So you don't actually need to do much actual NMM on any area where you're putting a lot of tarnish, because that's going to be the next step up is verdigris, which is fully dull and does not reflect or have shinies. No shinies. Good morning, Nora. So yeah, so essentially I'm just shading normally when I get to the really areas that I think are going to build up a lot of tarnish, because they aren't going to be metal. They're going to be metallic. So that front part is looking okay. I want to get a little bit between these. Oh dear. That's the closest we're going to come to like mentioning politics on this stream. So whoop. This is a no politics allowed stream. There we go. So just pretty much putting in some definition here on the trident. And the reason that I decided not to go bright and shiny, like there's a lot more copper showing on the little bore head here and the little depth measurer or whatever it is there, than there is on here. And then my worry was that this would be overwhelming because it's huge and it's got a lot of details, so it's going to look pretty bright and shiny and it's going to be very distracting. So I thought about it, and I just don't trust myself to actually finish something for my brother and his fam. That, and I probably should be like more selective about, like, I would need to actually choose a mini and then execute on it. And I know that my time is going to be at a premium in the next in December, so I'm like, I don't know. I want to. I guess I could start something this year and just plan on finishing it next year. I just know that with the new World of Warcraft expansion, I know that this year I promised David I would play with him. And our time gaming together is important to me. So, because it's, you know, us actually doing stuff together. And we cook together too and do other things, but you know, it's important. So I'll have to think about it. Maybe I'll go and actually choose a model though. That will make it more real if I choose a model for it, right? And it'll have to be specific, like something not too weird, because my brother's wife is not a nerd, like unlike the rest of us. And Pete is only like a closet nerd, like, but his kid, Graham, my nephew, Graham's a nerd, so. He probably would hate that I was calling him a nerd. Sorry, Graham. If you're listening, my apologies. But come on now. Come on now, Minecraft addict. My nephew's like, my aunt called me out on her stream. I have now guaranteed he will never watch again. No, that makes sense, Kriniko. Like, if you don't have a light cache, it's also honestly, I mean, other than I also I'm a little bit broke, but um, other than that, it's also that my brother believes that gifts should be really personal. And so, and also, you know, if when it's a family that has the money to buy whatever they need, it's really hard to find gifts for people like that. But you can always make something, and painting counts as making. So, yeah, yeah, that's my brother too. He doesn't really care about gifts unless it's a personal item, right? If it's really meaningful, right? Asian Marvel. So yeah, I think it's like a skull with like horns, Pendrake. It seems very skull-like to me with the cheekbones. Anyway, we've got to go around and the part where we didn't do anything. So you can see already there's a big difference just with shading. Shading gives everything so much depth and volume, and highlighting gives it like detail and texture. So there's like those two things like holding hands together on your models, right? Is the depth and volume is the shading. Like it gives models a sense of heaviness. It gives them a sense of filling up space. You get a better feel for um, like how thick or thin the material is by the shading. And then the highlighting is where you give details of surface, right? Texture, shine, things like that. So it's almost like shading defines the item itself, and then the highlighting defines like the surface of the item, the detailing on the surface. It's like by adding additional shading underneath these little details, I'm giving them more weight, right? I'm making them stick out more instead of blend in more. So they look like they're more substantial, right? And when there's a really heavy, solid shadow under things, it tells you that it's not translucent, that it's a very solid item. That's funny, Quindy. I know what I'm getting, David. I need to order it so I can take it off my stress list. My mom just wants a Dick Blick gift card because she wants to buy some paper for her colored pencils. And paper's expensive, so as we all know who work with 2D arts. Oh no, Cornico. Oops. All right, so we're getting in more shading here. And again, I'm using my mixture of brown liner with a bit of russet brown in it, but sometimes I'm also adding a little extra russet brown if I feel like I don't want something so dark. If I want a more subtle shadow. And again, this is a good example of moving the model instead of your brush. Instead of contorting your hand and trying to get, because I need to put a shadow in on this side, instead of contorting your hand and trying to paint nicely an area that is uncomfortable, just change the model around so that you can paint the area with your hand relaxed. You're going to be able to be more precise that way, and it's going to build your brush control faster than if you try to always contort your hand into different shapes while you're painting. So I've got that shadow in there, which I want. See anything else? Probably under here. I'll just hit all the areas that I kind of feel like I am not comfortable hitting at the other side. But yeah, and keeping your hand at a comfortable angle is really important for brush control. People don't mention it a lot, but ergonomics is a thing when it comes to painting and being accurate. I'll have to look for a pretty model. Otherwise, Amy's going to look at it. If I sent her, like, you know, a troll, she would totally be like, or an orc, she would be like, we are not going to have this in our room. But I'm sure I've got a couple of pretty minis that I could do. I should look at my busts. Or maybe I should look at, oh no, because all my, I was going to say, I've got a couple of those awesome Camelot ones from Big Child, but because a King Arthur one would be kind of cool, but but I've got only like the Morgana one, which is naked, which is, you know, not gonna, you know, really pass the nice thing to paint for my family test. Evil sorceress, naked with crows and skulls. No, not really. My family's not that interesting. Maybe yours is. Yeah, yeah. For sure. You never know what'll happen. That's so true. So hey guys, for my Patreon, I'm doing metallics this month. I'm kind of psyched to do it. I mentioned I'm going to do it for my $5 PDF. I studied a bunch of different silvers and pearls, and mostly silvers, and did a little write-up. And I'm doing some swatches today. And then I figured out that I didn't have a topic yet for the $10 level. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to do how to like shade metallics, like how to get shaded metallics to look good. Since it can be very hard to, you know, because it's like you're trying to layer with flake. That doesn't work so well. So I might do a $10 PDF on that. Because doing a video would take too darn long. So that's pretty cool. I haven't done a lot of things on metallics on my Patreon, so I'm excited about doing that. Because I do really love doing shaded metallics on bigger models. A little more shading and we're good. I hear the PUPPY rummaging around back there, so I hope that she doesn't start borking at us early. There we go. So I think I might need a little bit more down around the teeth though. Hey Roger, how's it going? I got the puppy to walk all the way around the big loop that I almost all the way around the big loop that I normally walk on my own walk before the puppy came along. I'm excited because this means we can take a nice long walk together every noon. Although she still pulls, so we're still working on that. It's the eternal battle. I got her one of those harnesses that clip onto the front, but then it didn't fit. It was a 28, like an 18 or a 24 to 28 inch harness, and her chest turned out to be like 27.75, and there was just no way. It was just like she's gonna outgrow it in 2 days. So I'm gonna have to send it back to Amazon. So I'm still working with her with the regular old collar. Although I do have a martingale that probably fits her now, so I should try that. It won't be too much more, but We used to do an out and back pendrake, and she's great on the way out, but she pulls like crazy whenever we turn toward home. Then we've been trying to do loops with her, but the thing is that she's got a really good direction sense. Like when you turn in the correct direction, she knows instantly that you're headed back, so she'll start pulling. What I currently do is what you're supposed to do. So when she pulls, you stop. Sometimes if she pulls, you turn around and walk the other direction. Kind of get it into her head that she's not going to get what she wants to go home unless she stops pulling. And the big problem with this is she's just a 4.5-month-old puppy, right? She doesn't have many brain cells. Much of her brain cells are taken over by emotion, so it's a battle. And if I didn't have a bad back, I'd probably have more patience for it. But she really kind of torqued me the other day, and my back was definitely unhappy for the rest of the day. So that's when I was like, okay, I gotta get serious and maybe try some other solutions. So you can see the difference between the coppers now and how much more tarnished this looks compared to the just straight up base coat that we had down, right? We can still see the reddish tone. But yeah, so she's a little better on the big loop that I've been taking her on. So I took her on yesterday because she's unsure, she's like, Plus there were kids playing, we went by the school. It was actually a really nice walk. Our school has a big park next to it. And it's just down the block from our house. But yeah, mostly I'm just trying to wait her out. I'm sometimes she's a little better and I'm like, oh, she's getting it. She's starting to understand. And then she'll, kind of regress and like puppies do, like humans do. But she's slowly getting there. All right, so we're just starting to bring in more of that copper just on the edges where it would rub off. And that's where we're starting to really get a coppery look, right? So we're using this 50-50 mix of new copper and tarnished copper to bring this area up because these are areas that are just going to get rubbed, right? It's they're raised areas on the outside of the staff, and then up here on the tips the trident, and then up here on the tips will also highlight because if he's poking it into people, that would get the tarnish would get rubbed off. Oh yeah, and Keeks is 45, and she's just a pup. But yeah, she's not awful, but she's just bad enough. And sometimes she just she'll stop to sniff, and I'll keep walking, and she'll run to catch up. And that's where when she hits the end of the leash, that's where she can really hurt me if I'm not ready for it. So yeah, it's a work in progress. But yeah, that's why I thought about the front clip collar or the front clip harness. Because that pretty much uses their own inertia against them. The downside of it is, as with all training aids, that when you aren't then using the training aid, your dog may relapse, right? Because it's like, oh, I don't have that harness on, that means I can pull. So, I mean, my desire has been just to work with her until we break through, even though that takes a couple months of constant reinforcement. It's a lot of work, right, to train a dog right without falling back on stuff. And but I worry about my back, so still thinking about it. Interesting idea, Pendrake. Might work. She's still going to know, though, which direction. Because I've tried to do that on a very small loop near our house, and she still has that great direction sense. So she knows when we turn toward home. Even if it's going the opposite route on a street, she's used to going the opposite. Because we have a very, very tiny loop near our house that we used to walk her on before we tried the bigger loops. And we did try to reverse it on those, now that I think about it. She's just a smart girl. But I mean, the other thing to, I guess, because you won't always be able to do that. The other thing is, you know, proofing your dog. It is, if you think about it as an opportunity to work with your dog, I guess, is the better way to do it. So you don't get frustrated. It's like, this is a training opportunity. Let's just work with it. She was a little better yesterday. We'll see. So getting just the edges up here so that it looks like it's rubbing off. Belt clip, huh? Yeah, I'll look into that, Kerniko. Thanks. Yeah. Strap style collars, that's Titan. Yeah. The Martingale, I think, is what that is. Or a Dowser. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll look that up. Yeah, I've got a Martingale. Although I kind of laugh about, like, choke style collars, like tightening collars. Like, it's like, everybody's like, don't jerk your dog, they're so cruel. And I'm like, what if my dog jerks itself? I remember when I was a kid, and that was old school time where they didn't have humane training things. Let me just do a quick reminder here about that, just so I don't forget it. But we had a German short-haired pointer, and she was on a choke collar, choke chain collar, quote unquote. She would just like, she didn't care. That dog had a neck of iron. She was like, doesn't matter, I'm still gonna pull. I'll sit here and gag as I pull, but I'm gonna pull. Ironically, I then took that dog into obedience class, and she was better at it than my Sheltie. And then we didn't have any pulling problems anymore. All right, let's get more highlights on this before I get distracted by doing shadows on a cage. Yeah, boxers, pointers, like, it's the sporting and really active breeds, you know, strong-willed breeds. But yeah, I was always like, I didn't really want to take Pippi in obedience because, you know, I was like, well, she's just, you know, she's a pointer. She's not as smart as my Sheltie. And it turns out that was actually a bonus. That was actually a benefit. She wasn't second guessing me. Once she realized there were treats, she was just like, oh, all right. And she got, like, I think she got, out of 100 points, she got 96 at our show, at our first trial. And I was like, okay, this isn't fair. Yeah, right. Yeah, the GSP, the German Short-haired Pointer. That's my dad's breed. He loves GSPs. That's why I grew up with them. I still have a soft spot for them because they are beautiful dogs. And they have great temperaments in general. They're just a nice, solid family dog. But they have energy, by God. Just like the Weimaraner. Like, there's a couple breeds in there that look a lot alike except for color, and they're all like go, go, go dogs. Yeah, the thing with the pointer was that she didn't outthink me. She was just like, a treat? All right, I will do it. And the Sheltie was like, a treat? But there's a little kid with popcorn over there. Why I like herding breeds, I have no idea. I have no idea. Why don't I just go for an easier dog? And Kiki's like, but Mom, I'm so awesome. Except when I nom on everybody. So we're getting some of our highlighting in here now. We're gonna take a look at it. Yeah, I want it mostly from that direction. I want a little bit on the edges here. Yeah, Keekster is a handful, that's for sure. I still have hope that she will eventually figure out that she should not pull. But yeah, I should have got that martingale collar and try it this walk. So we're getting there. You can see how that's starting to look like really, like almost like burnished copper at this point. Oh, we're fine. I'm focusing. I can talk dogs and focus. RWALK is right after the stream. That's why I'm thinking about it. Thinking about tactics already. So I'm not going to do under reflections because a lot of this is tarnished, right? So a lot of the lower areas aren't really going to have much of an anything, right? So I will go up to my next level though, which is my orangey color here. So I was using this one. I'm going to go up to that one. I'm going to throw a little more water in it. I believe I'm certain we're off for Thanksgiving. I may also take Friday off. What do you think, Quindy? But I'm going to be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as far as I know. I don't have to actually cook anything until Thursday. I did find a bone-in skin on turkey breast, so I'm super happy. That was what I was hoping to find for Thanksgiving for David and I, because it's still a lot of meat, but it's totally like it's leftovers, but it's still a turkey and it's manageable for 2 people. So let's put a little bit of that extra highlight on. That's going to start bringing up more shininess. Yeah, I had trouble finding them for a while, but... Oh, nice, Valadar, nice. Yeah, have fun. Yeah, I had trouble finding the bone-in skin-on turkey breasts for a while there, but they had them at our local grocery store, and I was like, ooh, yoink. So it's already sitting in the freezer, waiting for me to take it out and thaw. Super happy that we have an extra freezer in our garage now. We got over the summer, and oh my gosh, that's so worth it. So happy because I have plenty of room for all this stuff. Though I do have a lot of meat that I need to use out of there, so probably need a plan to make some lamb meatballs and some Korean spare ribs. Ah, yeah. I know, it's so close. I realized that when I was trying to make an appointment, and they were like, oh, the day after Thanksgiving, and I'm like, oh my god, next week's Thanksgiving. This is pretty convincingly coppery looking at this point. Looking pretty convincingly copper tarnish. Yeah, we had too many leftovers. I don't like to freeze turkey because at least the breast is just too lean to freeze well. But we just don't eat a whole lot these days, and so it felt like I couldn't freeze it. We ate as much of it as we could, and even with Curie to help. Like last year, I did just a chicken because the year before was this turkey that we felt overwhelmed by. especially cutting down on my eating a bit. Both David and I could afford to lose like 10 pounds or so, so. Yeah, I didn't have any extra gravy though in Harma. That's the problem. We used all our gravy. Nom 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 nom. The gravy does not survive. I always feel like you have more turkey than gravy anyway. But yeah, we're just gonna go with the bone-in breast. I've cooked them before. I like them. It'll be enough leftovers, but then we can go back to our normal eating pattern. I get a little bit of white out because the rubbed off areas will be shiny. Now I did mention also previously that putting a yellow glaze over the top of your copper if you feel it's getting a little too pink and you want it to be more orangey, which tarnished copper would be when it's not really new copper, it does turn quite orange. Oh, hosting your first full Thanksgiving, huh, Chewy? Just do your best. Just do your best. Pre-prep, speaking from experience, Chewy, pre-prep everything you can. So if you can like get a start on pre-cut vegetables and stuff like that, it helps. If you have stuff that you can just mise en place and then go. Because there's so many things to juggle, right? For me, when I make my green bean salad, I make a homemade cream of mushroom soup to do with it. I don't use canned. I do my own because it's so good. But that takes a lot of pre-prep. So I make the soup in advance. I cut my vegetables for the stuffing in advance and stuff like that. Yeah, and par bake if you're going to do pies and stuff. Yep, Agent Marvel is right on it. No streams Thursday or Friday. Great. That's perfect. Lovely. Thanks, Quindy. I figured you'd get back to it when you had it time. You know, since you have a real job to work while you do this and everything. Yeah, that makes sense. Par bake and then finish the day of. Yep. I make most things from scratch the day of. But I mean, I only have to worry about the turkey or chicken, depending on what we do. Green bean casserole and stuffing for the most part, and the cranberry sauce. But the cranberry sauce is so easy, you just throw it on the stove. Throw it on the stove and let it cook. Add some ingredients, done. Until it turns goopy. And that's pretty much the things that, because David and I don't need stuffing and mashed potatoes, right? So I don't have to do a lot of everything. And he actually likes to just buy pies rather than make pies. Because we have a Costco membership now. And they're supposed to have some nice pies. And of course we've got a Whole Foods near us, and they do very nice pies as well. And actually the Sprouts pies are quite good as well. So we've got several food store options for a good pie. Yeah. Par bake, yeah, it's partially cooking the item. Before you do a wet pie like a quiche, you par bake the crust so that you reduce leaks. You can actually do that for any pie. Or blind bake, as they sometimes call it. But then par baking is the whole thing, right? If you partially cook it. Then you just have to finish it. Airline companies, at least one airline company started doing that. I forget which one it was, but I saw a documentary on it where they were trying to make their meals better. So the chef they hired essentially told them to only par bake things like salmon, so then they could finish it in their oven on the on the plain, and it would taste fresh. Yes, blind baking is the same thing. Yeah, see, that's the problem, Carly. That's why I'm more inclined to go not to Costco, but to go to Sprouts, because first at Sprouts I can buy half a pie. Because if whatever we buy, we're eating, and I'm losing weight, and I don't want to get it all back on one day, or the 4 days of eating that follow Thanksgiving, right? I really don't want it to be a Thanksgiving weekend, as in the entire weekend. So now I'm bringing up a little bit of areas, just a few areas that would be a little lighter. Somebody did a study, Chewy, that's very depressing. It's like most Americans gain 5 pounds every holiday season and they don't lose it. Once I became aware of that, I resolved this Thanksgiving not to do it. So I've actually changed my diet up this past weekend, and I'm losing, or the end of last week, I guess, and I'm losing a couple pounds so that I can prepare. I've already lost a couple pounds. Want to lose one more before. Then if I go up, I'm just back where I was instead of, gaming the system. Yeah, par-baked vegetables. Yep. Yeah, that makes good sense. In our potatoes make totally sense to do that. That's what supermarkets do, right? When they've got the baked potatoes. That you take and bake. I guess not all supermarkets have that. So a little bit of shine on the end of these prongs. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'm doing salmon tonight. I need to go and get some fresh salmon. I haven't decided what I want to do. We did more air fryer salmon last time, and it was amazing. I'm totally sold on the air fryer for salmon. I don't think I'll ever do it in the oven again. Yeah, that's a bummer with the meds, Shadow Raven. I mean, though there are some studies that say that exercise really does not impact weight loss. I don't know if I buy that. Like, I've always found it really hard to lose weight not exercising. Like I have to do both, right, in order to lose weight. I have to both be doing all my walking and eating less. Like, I can't do just one. So, I don't know, I have to look up those studies. Maybe they're sus. Some studies are just sus. Putting a little bit more highlights in here. Get a little shine on the shiny parts, the prongy parts. You hate it, huh, Trash? Interesting. I like it with a rub on it. And I do like, I eat smoked salmon for many lunches. That's my protein. David gets big slabs of it from Trader Joe's. Interesting, Inara. Yeah, that I would believe, because my walking is all very low intensity. Like, I do yoga in the morning, and then I walk the puppy, which is not very intensive, especially when you're stopping every, 3 steps for her to stop pulling. And then I take my real walk at night. But mostly, actually, and I got this out of Noom, the eating like app program thing. But it's just like, Noom was like, it doesn't matter, just get your steps in. So Noom was like, physical activity doesn't have to be, it kind of agrees with what you said, Inara, where physical activity doesn't need to be strenuous, it just needs to be there. And so just take a walk. It doesn't have to be a fast walk. You can just be an amble. And I have found that that is generally true. My evening walks are really laid back. I think about my book and I listen to an audiobook and it's really relaxing and I love doing it because it's not unpleasant, right? But it works for me to lose weight that way. I think the real thing is just to stay active. So we're getting our pokey prods. Our pokey prods have to be sharp, have to be shiny. Yeah, I do love sushi for sure. Oh, don't spoil our Bake Off. We haven't watched. We haven't gotten the last episode yet. It'll be Friday. A bit of extras. Now we're really getting coppery, shiny here. Interesting. Yeah, some people like that Shadow Raven though. You're not just not into fish. That's fair. We're staying home for Thanksgiving. David's parents are coming down for Christmas because Kiki still is a work in progress, and taking her up to their house, it gives me heebie-jeebies. I could just see her destroying something. They are humoring us. They're coming down for the holidays, even though they did it last year too. So we definitely owe them a trip up to Seattle. But for Thanksgiving, it's just David and I and the Keekster, and I'm going to cook, and I'm looking forward to it because I always love cooking Thanksgiving because it's like comfort food, holiday food. Oh, bye, Crowley. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep. For sure. Yes, that violence is the correct answer there. That is choose violence. That is definitely a choose violence moment. I like how the shiny ends are all pointy now. They're all shiny and pointy. I like it. I like it. I want a little bit more down here. We're almost the end of the stream. And I've got a Luca on deck, so I don't want to go too long. But I just want to touch up. We still haven't put all of our highlights on the front. See how far we've gone, guys? This is where we started. And this is where we are now. It's 2 days, Trash. It's 2 days. You stop in Oregon. But it's a beautiful drive. And you go through some gorgeous country. So it would definitely be a road trip that I would look forward to. We'd have to take more time off for the holiday, though, so it's kind of nice that his parents are coming here. I don't have to take a lot of time off. Oh, wow, Carnico. British Bake Off is on Netflix, Agent Marvel. Bye, Pendrake. Good luck with the flu shot. I hope it doesn't impact your arm too badly. That's a little bit too much. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Like, I'm too old for that crap. I learned that on the Great Kiki Adventure Odyssey trip. It's just better for me to take shorter days and have more time to kind of wind down. My back and my hips are just like not going to do that in the car. But yeah, it's I mean, it's like without Kiki, the road trip to come back from Fargo is actually gorgeous, and I would do that drive again and have flat second, even though it's 3.5 days of driving. I would do it again because you drive through such a beautiful country. You drive through Yellowstone, part of Yellowstone. You know you got it's just lovely. So I'm really actually looking forward to driving up to Seattle at some point with the pup. I like scenic road trips, even if I do have to make them in more days than I used to. America is a beautiful country, and I don't see enough of it. And I love natural beauty, so. Alright, yeah, I think that's pretty okay. There, we've got our nice little skull guy. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Happy monster face. I've got a couple of lumbar support pillows. Normally I don't need one in Ara, but I did bring one on the road trip with Pup. But it's still, my hips tend to lock up, like my one hip gets really uncomfortable. I just find it shorter days are better and more enjoyable. Like I don't have to rush. If I know that I've got like 6 to 8 hours of driving, I can choose to stop and take a break for longer, or I can choose to push through faster, right? So I really like that pace. But yeah, I do a lot of stretches, a lot of yoga stretches on the road in order to keep everything happy. And I do bring a back pillow. Yeah, exactly. Yep, stop at the place you're going to have supper is a very reasonable rule. Actually, I like that rule. That's a nice one, Shadow Raven. Because, yeah, that was what I tried to do with the Keeks. Although the first night, the Keeks was too much trouble. And I didn't actually stop to have like much of a supper. I was exhausted. That was when she was car sick, so we just had a bad day in general. So there we go. We have copper, but not as blingy copper necessarily as our little pig face. So we'll come back and we'll duplicate this on the front. And I like this. I like the way it looks. It really looks tarnished and rubbed off. Oh my God. One day. Yeah, I can do it. Like I've done it because I would do the Texas to Wisconsin to visit my family in a day, but I can't do that anymore. That 14-hour, I can't do it. It just wrecks my body so much and my sleep schedule. No, I didn't like it either. I thought it was creepy special effects, but it was too ugly and disturbing for me, Karniko. Too much nasty. It was a weirdly macabre movie, but I didn't enjoy it. Yeah, right. It was very fairy tale. I love the fairy tale elements. Love the fairy tale elements of it. But then it went really bad. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't watch it. Yeah, 8 is about my limit, 8 to 9. And then my body's really achy by the end. But yeah. All right, guys. Do we have a Luca yet? Quindy? You are among your people, yep. is true. All right, well then, let's not just sit here discussing Pan's Labyrinth. Let's get that Luca and make him work. All right. And we didn't even get the puppy serenade. The puppy was actually like good today. So all right, guys. I hope that you enjoyed our show today and our tarnished copper treatment. I'll put some verdigris on there too, but I'll probably wait until we get the front done and do verdigris on both parts. So have a lovely day, and tomorrow will be Thursday. Yay, Thursday. Oh yeah, I'm pretty much there too. I want happy movies too, Shadow Raven. I don't watch many movies. So yes, have a lovely day, everybody, or a lovely night, depending on where you are. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.